Welcome back to BK Nothing But Nets podcast. I'm joined with my co-host Dylan. We got a good one for you today. We're gonna get into Jeremiah Fears and why he can still save the Brooklyn Nets. Obviously, the tank didn't go tankingly. Lottery night didn't go particularly well. Nothing's really gone well. But the draft is deep enough, and there's enough people who have questions about Fears, perhaps his size, his shooting consistency. There's enough people with questions on Fears that maybe he falls to 8. And I think you get an all-star caliber point guard at 8. Dylan's got an article out that you can find. It's in the link on his site, Nets Press on Substack. Dylan, tell them
Yeah,
where
I
they
did
can
put the
find
link
that.
below as well.
Yeah, can we put it?
Yeah,
I
feel
can
free to
put it.
check out the Substack. I was originally using WordPress as my source for making articles. We've now switched over to Substack. Shout out to Doug Norrie. He recommended it. So yeah, we've moved over there. I have another article coming out here shortly. We're going to put up an article based on just a couple of trade opportunities for the Nets. We're going to talk about some of them today, and we'll talk about some of the prospects over there as well. So stay tuned for that. That should be out within the next 2 to 3 days. So yeah, that's the update on that.
I want to get into Fears. You and I both like Fears out of the University of Oklahoma. I hate watched a lot of Fears. Excellent ball handler, great layup package, mid-range game, pull-up. I like him a lot. Vision, he's a terrific passer. Give us kind of the elevator pitch on Jeremiah Fears and why we like him so much and why he. Well, give me your assessment on him and his upside and his flaw. And it's like the quick elevator pitch on his game.
Yeah, I mean Jeremiah Fears to me is my favorite prospect outside of the top three. I actually prefer him a little bit more than I do Ace Bailey. I know, shocking to say,
That's wild.
but
Yeah, I
I
like him
know
too, but that's wild.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just one of those things where I think you are getting a better player right now off the bat, and you're also getting a player with a safer ceiling, right? And I think with the Nets, you really need to strike gold in this draft, especially after missing out on the top three. We'll see if they can figure out a way to trade up into the top three. But I think Jeremiah Fears' game translates really well with what the Nets are looking for, and he also reminds me of, and I've said this numerous times. Uh, the trajectory of how Ja Morant and Trae Young uh, played their final seasons in college. If Trae was a freshman, I believe Ja was a sophomore, if I'm not mistaken. He could have been a freshman, but just the way that they were able to catapult themselves up draft boards is something that not a lot of people were expecting, especially Ja. And I think that's very similar with what Jeremiah Fears has done this year. This is a guy who was not even projected in the lottery. I don't even think he was projected top 20 at the start of the season.
Wow.
And he is now in the position where he could genuinely be a top 5 pick, right? There's a lot of chatter now that he likely won't be available for the Nets pick at 8, which kind of puts you in a position where you need to trade up. But Fears does remind me a lot of that combo mix between, guys like Ja Morant, Russell Westbrook, Trae Young. Like there's a lot of individual aspects to his game that matches each of those players combined into one. And I think that's something that's really interesting, especially for the Nets moving forward. And not to mention he's 6'4". He's at that just above average point guard height, which is nice. So I definitely think it's something that could work long term. And I do see a star in him. Uh, just the confidence that he plays with, the ability to take over a game down the stretch. He has a ton of upside as a playmaker. The assists were at like 4 a game. That should have been probably 6.5, 7 if his teammates hit his
Yeah.
shots.
At the college level, you got to take that with a grain of salt. I mean, if he
Yeah,
played with shot makers, how many assists would he be averaging? You
yeah,
can't. Yeah.
and and the shooting efficiencies. People are complaining about his 3-point efficiency. Noah Clowney shot a sub 28% from three uh, in his freshman year at Alabama, and he's now one of our better catch and shoot floor spacers on the team. Uh, 3-point percentage is not something to worry about in college. That is something that continuously uh, gets better, especially at the NBA level. You're getting easier shot selections in the NBA. It's not as difficult defensively as college is. but the percentages for him is going to go up. He averaged 18 a game. He's one of 4 guys as freshmen that were able to do that. So I think that the upside on him is through the roof. And the only 4 players that did that was him, Ace, Harper, and Flag. So that says a lot. And Trey Johnson, of course. So 5 players that were freshmen.
I compliment and tip off Iceman is coming. I compare him to Marbury, the handle, I don't want to say the handle, the explosiveness, the speed, the crossover. He's got all that. The ability to finish at the rim. He's really got a layup package and an ability to finish at the rim.
Yeah.
And then Marbury came in the league and he put on some muscle. But the Marbury comp, I like. I don't know if you're really old enough to remember like Starbury with the Nets and Starbury with Minnesota. But that's kind of what I see in him. Starbury was a guy that he could knock down the 3, but he wasn't really a shooter. He wasn't a consistent shooter, but he could get hot. He scored 50 against Kobe back in 2000, 99-2000 season. 2001
I was an 01 baby, so
you were not alive.
That is before my time.
It was crazy because back in the day, no one really scored 50. I still remember that game that he scored 50. It was like unheard of. Like Marbury scored 50 against Lakers, went to overtime. And the game before that, they beat the Spurs. And this was a 26-win team. So in a matter of literally 2 games, they beat the Spurs, lost to the Lakers in overtime. I still remember that. But I like the Marbury comparison. And Leaf, yes, Marbury eats Vaseline. I don't know why, although there's nothing that it can do that's bad for you. I just don't know the benefit of it. That didn't concern me. What concerned me was when Juan Manuel Marquez was preparing for his fight with Floyd Mayweather. He was drinking his own pee as part of his training regimen.
Oh, my God. The things people do, man. Cannot make it up.
These are multi-millionaires with the world at their fingertips, and they're eating Vaseline and drinking pee. I've heard of people eating Vaseline. The guy that invented Vaseline, petroleum jelly, he ate a spoonful of Vaseline every day and lived to be 96. I don't think there's anything bad it can do for you. I just don't know what the upside.
I swear to God, the people that do the stupidest shit live the longest. I don't get it. It's so funny.
All of the people who live to be like 120, 112, they all smoke every day. So
yeah, I know, it's fucking hilarious. Like it's so funny.
Like, I'm not advocating smoking. I really don't think it's as bad for you as they tell you that it is. I really don't.
My grandfather smoked he's 76, 77 now. He smoked up until he was about 66, 67. And he was smoking since he was 13 years old. And the dude, the dude looks like he's 77 now. He looks like he's 60, and he moves like he's 55. Like he's still out in the yard doing work every day. I don't get it. It's
the vast majority of people who get lung cancer. The vast majority of people who get lung cancer aren't smokers.
Which is crazy.
And the people who live the longest, the people who have like these crazy lives, like Asians, they smoke nonstop, and they live to 112. I really don't think it's as bad for you as they make. I'm not saying you should smoke. You probably shouldn't. I'm just saying I don't think it's as bad for you.
I was going to say I live in well, not live, but I used to live in Bergen County, New Jersey, and it's a very Korean-based population, and they smoke all the time, and they're like the most in shape people. It's crazy. It is insane how it works. But
what's crazy is Korea has the highest rate of smokers. And before the Korean War, they had almost no smokers, and now they have the most in the world.
That's what war will do to you.
It's what we passed on to them.
That is what war will do.
All right, I want to get to Fears. I want to push back. I'm with you on Fears, but I want to give the reason why we shouldn't draft him.
Okay.
He's frail. And he can't shoot the 3-ball consistently. And in today's NBA, if you're frail and you can't shoot the 3-ball, you're very limited. Your upside is extremely limited. How would you respond to that? They're going to bully him when he takes the ball to the rim, and they're going to lay off and let him clank up bricks. That's the knock on him, right? Like that's
So I mean, he weighed in at 180, right?
He's 6'4", though. 6'4", 180 is.
He weighed in at 180 to start college. He's probably around 185, 188 now, if I assume. If you've watched his workout videos, he's definitely put on a bit of muscle. And again, like I said before, the 3-point percentage is not something that I worry about for a college player. if you look at his advanced numbers, they have him projected to be a 36% three-point shooter, slightly below average, but that's still a much bigger improvement to what he's had in college. That's not to say that he doesn't improve further. But 36%, if you could, his true shooting percentage in the NBA for advanced metrics, they have him at 56.2%. Again, very solid numbers all around.
Yeah.
But you also have to look at the team that he's playing for, right? Trae Young was not the most efficient player at Oklahoma either. These are guys that are put in positions where they have to chuck up shots late down the stretch because they're the only guy that can hit the shot. So to me, I don't think that the percentages is something that I'm worried about on Fears. I think he becomes much more efficient in the NBA. I definitely think that his playmaking takes the next step as well. So for me, that's not a worry for me. But the body and the frame, those are things that always get adjusted. Trae Young is frail. Ja Morant's frail. Kyrie Irving, very frail. Like he's not, some jacked point guard. All these guys do very well in the NBA. So to me, the body and framework is not a problem at all either. As long as you learn how to use your body, you're really not going to be put in any bad positions. And he certainly knows how to use his body, especially when he's going and driving the lane. He's a, like you said, a very good finisher at the rim, whether it's above the rim, his layup package, his drive through contact. A lot of those has shown to be very good in college. So that's something that I expect to translate as well into the NBA.
Which was but him being small is one thing, but he can get the contact and finish. So who cares if he's small? Right? If you can finish after contact, and you can still get the bump, create the bump, and get the end one. Who cares? I mean, if you're 6'4", 180, who cares? Doesn't. Yeah.
Isaiah Thomas finished as a top 3 candidate in MVP, averaging 31 points in his second to last season in Boston. Like he was 5'10". It doesn't. The body and the framework does not matter. If you put in the work and you learn how to use your body, that's when you become the star that a lot of people expect you to. So I'm not worried about that.
So give me the upside. Give me a comp. Give me an upside, and then give me an absolute upside and an absolute flaw on Fears.
That's tough. I don't see like one specific player that Fears is. That's the problem, right? I see that combo between Ja, Trae, Westbrook. Like there's a very I if you're just going based on like I can't see a player for comps. I more so look at it as he is your fourth option as a floor. He is your star as a ceiling. I don't know if that's considered the one or the two, but either way, I think that he has star potential. So that's kind of how I'll leave it. I don't really know a specific comp that I could give for him though.
If the Nets did bring him in, we already have an inkling that they're going to bring back D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah.
Do you play them together? Can Fears play off the ball at all? How would that work exactly?
No, I'd keep it separate. I mean, you could start a game. It doesn't mean you're going to play them, more minutes. But I do think that Fears is likely to probably start his career off the bench. That would make sense. You're 18 years old, 19 years old. Give yourself time to develop off the second unit. Maybe start by the end of the season. I saw a comment that said Trae Young's stats were insane in college. The points and assists per game definitely were, but again, the shooting efficiencies, he shot 36% from a 3 on 10 attempts, and he shot 42% from the field. So again, not highly efficient. Much better 3-point percentage, but the overall efficiency is actually worse than Fears. But yeah,
which is I mean, his total efficiency is lower than Fears, who's in it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Let's see. Jeremiah Fears shot not a crazy difference on the field goal percentage. 43.4%, 28.4 from 3. But that's college efficiencies right there. Yeah.
When he comes to the NBA, obviously, because they both went to Oklahoma, those are going to be the two comps. They're going to be They're going to be compared to each other for a long time.
Yeah.
How would you? I mean, they're not. To me, they're not very. They're not that similar. They're more different. Like they're better comps to Fears than, like you said, Ja Morant is a better comp.
That's why I say I always see mixtures, right? Like he has Westbrook's explosive first step. He has Ja Morant's finishing ability and playmaking. He has Trae Young's quickness. Like he's very similar as a shooter to Ja and Russ than he is to Trae. Like there's individual details on his game that you could place with certain players, which is why I don't really see like a specific comp just yet. But yeah, we'll see that transition into the NBA and see what he turns out to be. But I see star potential in him. I think that he is maybe one of two guys outside of the top three that do have that ceiling of a star, right? I don't think you could really place that on Maluak just yet because of the rawness to his game. I don't think Trey Johnson's a star.
Thank you.
I don't think Con Knepel's a star. I don't think Derek Queen is a star. I see VJ and Fears being your two guys outside of the top three that likely are to be stars in this league rather than not. So that's kind of where I'm placing him as of right now.
I'm extremely high on Fears. I think like it's hard. Like Jamal Murray's never been an All-Star. D'Angelo Russell has. So I'm not saying he's going to make an All-Star game. He has a caliber. He has the upside to him. I think he's an All-Star caliber guard. Right? To me, Jamal Murray is an All-Star caliber guard, even though he's never made an All-Star game. D'Angelo Russell is not, and I'm not hating on D'Lo. But he's not. He's not an All-Star guard. He's good. He was good with Minnesota and the Nets. He was good, but he's not really an All-Star.
Yeah.
So I would say the Nets, who have a pretty good history of point guards, Kidd, Marbury, Kenny Anderson, D'Angelo Russell, Darren Williams, they've had good point guards. He can be a guy in that lineage. I think he can be an All-Star caliber guard. You get him now at 19. If you're worried about him shooting, okay, look, he can hit shots. He's not Rondo out there clanking everything. He can knock down the shot. Is it as consistent as you want? No. Does he have games like against Texas in the SEC tournament where he can't hit the broadside of the barn? It happens. It's a college kid. But, I mean, those are things. Take 300 jump shots a day for years. You'll fix that. Jason Kidd couldn't shoot. Richard Jefferson couldn't shoot. By the end of their career, they were spot-up shooters. Yeah. I'm not that concerned about it. His shooting's not that bad. Like I said, it's not Rondo. It's not Westbrook. He's not there clanking everything, and it looks terrible. He can shoot, right? I mean, you seem to downplay this. You're not overly concerned about him shooting, right?
No, I'm not. I think like the advanced metrics say, I think he can become a 36 to 39% three-point shooter at some point in time. 39 may be a little generous, 37 to 38, though, that's the range where you would want him to be. But again, if you're shooting 36% from three, in your second year of the NBA and you're shooting, 51% from the field, nobody cares, right? As long as you're efficient from the field as a whole, you're getting your points, you're doing it efficiently. I don't really think that it's going to turn into an issue. But like you said, the body and the framework is definitely something that a lot of people worry about with NBA or college players transitioning into the NBA. But we've seen point guards come in over the past 15 years that are very similar in build, very frail, and do whatever they want in the NBA, right? John Morant's an all-star, Trae Young's an all-star, Kyrie's an all-star, Russell Westbrook won an MVP. Like Westbrook's cut up, but he's not, if you look at Thunder Westbrook, right? He wasn't this absurdly jacked, point guard. He was always cut, but he was never jacked until the end of his career in OKC. So, I think that he's got time to develop that, and if you watch his Instagram and his workouts, he's putting in work left and right. I think he said he's doing 3 or 4 workouts a day as of right now. So this is a kid who's serious, and I definitely see the upside for him as a star.
When you see a kid take a jump like that, he's got the work ethic, because that doesn't happen without the work ethic. So I really would not be overly concerned about his shooting. A lot of guys came into the league and they weren't great shooters year one. I don't even I think his shooting, he's already got he's got a terrific midi, right? The pull up, it's terrific. So it's just a matter of stretching it out. The underrated part of his game, I believe, is his playmaking and his vision. I think he's got terrific vision. To me, I've always argued that Marbury is a pass-first point guard who could score 30 on any night. I kind of get the same take on Fears. Like, Fears can score. He can score. But to me, he's still a more traditional pass-first point guard. What are your thoughts on that?
I definitely don't think I would say he's a pass-first point guard. I just don't think he's a selfish player offensively. He kind of has that mixture of, like I've said, Ja and Trey, where he knows he can score at any time, whether it be at the basket or by creating his own shot. But he's also not going to play selfishly to where he's going to take a bad shot. Unless if it's, of course, couple seconds on the clock and he gets the ball back. But yeah, no, I don't see. I see him as a combo where he can do a little bit of both and he can take over a game with both. So I absolutely love the tangibles that he has so far as a prospect, and I think they'll translate really well in the NBA once he gets there.
I want to get into, well, first off, your inkling right now. If the draft was today, does he last till 8? The Nets need to trade up, or the Nets miss out on him completely?
Nets need to trade up. If he gets past 5, you need to trade up. I don't think he gets past New Orleans at 7. And I don't know why they're looking at him, because I don't see I don't see the understanding for them. You have a team that consists of CJ McCollum in an expiring year, Zion Williamson playing your 4, Trey Murphy playing your 3. You have Herb Jones off the bench. You have DeJounte coming back at some point from that torn Achilles. Like you have a roster ready to go. And they refuse to address the big man position. It's very strange. Like if Derek Queen or Kamal Maliwak is on the board along with Fears at 7, I don't see why they should take Fears. But there's a very strong debate that, Utah at 5 and New Orleans at 7 are the 2 biggest targets for him outside of the Nets. And again, I do think he's a better player than Trey Johnson. It would not surprise me if he was selected at 5 to Utah. I do have him as my 5th overall player in this draft. But, again, it's all about the upside and just where certain teams are ranking these players. Like, a lot of guys have Trey Johnson as their 5th best player in the draft. For me personally, I have him at 7 or 8.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on that, right? Because I watched them play Texas 3 times, especially the last game when in the SEC tournament that Texas won.
Yeah,
he was Fears, who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn that day. He couldn't throw the ball in the ocean. Was still the best player on the court. And who else was on the court? Trey Johnson. Like when you watch the impact, I don't throw the stats away. I don't care about the stats right now. Just the impact on the court. Who helps winning more? It's not even close between Fears and Johnson. Like Johnson played on a way more talented team and had less success than Fears. Like to me, the impact that each guy has, not even close. What are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree. Listen, we as Nets fans, a lot of us have a love-hate relationship with Cam Thomas, but Trey Johnson is Cam Thomas. Fun, flashy scorer doesn't impact the game of winning, and that's just how it is. That's a fact, right? Cam Thomas has not affected a basketball season. I'm not going to say a game, because there have been times where he has taken over games and performed really well in the clutch and won games, but he has not impacted a season. He does not impact the overall success of an organization to go into that play-in playoff picture. That's Trey Johnson. I don't see any difference in his game outside of improved playmaking and slightly improved defense, right? That's really it. Like Trey Johnson today is what today's Cam Thomas is, right? Slightly improved playmaker, slightly improved defender, still lackadaisical in both categories, and still an inefficient scorer who can't impact the game of winning. That's what Trey Johnson is to me. So for me, I personally have guys like Maliwak and Queen, and I even debate Kneppel over Trey Johnson, genuinely.
See, I know you're a Duke guy, and I'm a Longhorn guy, and I don't want Trey Johnson. I think you're getting why am I taking Kneppel?
So the reason for it, right, is
I don't want either one of them, but why am I taking Kneppel over Trey Johnson?
The reason I would is if you miss out on a guy that should be a star, right, and the only 4 that I truly see being solidified in that category of ceilings is VJ, Fears, Harper, and Flag, right? I still don't put Ace as a solidified star in this league in terms of ceiling. There is a very large boom or bust for him in this league, very similar to a guy like Michael Porter Jr. And for me, Kneppel is if you miss out on those 4, should be stars, go for the best, second, third option role player available, which to me is Kneppel. Kneppel plays a role, understands a role, and does it all efficiently, right? Shooting 41% from 3, 49% from the field. And not to mention, he averaged 14 plus a game at Duke. And that's not an easy task to do when you're playing alongside guys like Tyrese Proctor, Cooper Flag, Kamal Maliwak. It's not like they didn't have a roster over there, right? So to me, Kneppel's that guy that has a tremendous upside, but the highest floor as well. To me, I see him what he is, a guy that can give you 14 plus a game on insane efficient 3-point shooting. And to me, that's more valuable than Trey Johnson's what ifs. Like, I've already seen the Cam Thomas what ifs for going into year 5. I don't want to see another 4 or 5 years of Trey Johnson what ifs, bad fits alongside Cam Thomas, and a guy who isn't going to impact the game of winning, right? Kneppel's a guy you can plug in immediately, and he'll likely be your third option next year if Cam Johnson's not there. So,
but to me, it's and I'll let you respond. I don't want to get too much into Kneppel or Trey Johnson because I'm not going to be happy if either one of them ends up in net. Now, I'm pretty confident by getting 8, that means we're not getting Trey Johnson. I think Trey Johnson goes 5. So we're not getting him. Thank God. My biggest fear was we take him at 4 or 6. All right, that was like my biggest fear. Luckily, we would pick 8, so we don't end up with him. But Kneppel's upside to me is Cam Johnson. Can he get to a Chris Middleton level? Can he do something like that? Does he have the defensive prowess to be a true 3-and-D guy? Where he can make it, or is it just Cam Johnson?
Oh, we're talking Trey. Yeah, no.
Kneppel.
Oh, Kneppel. Kneppel to me is, and I say this all the time. Some people don't agree. A lot of people do. He's a modern day Klay Thompson. And when I say modern day, I'm talking a guy who can actually put the ball on the floor and create his own shot, not a guy that needs 12 dribbles to put up 60, which is incredible in itself. But Klay was very limited in the sense that he was a 1-dribble pull-up guy, a 1-dribble sidestep guy, or he was a catch-and-shoot 3. Kneppel, to me, has the upside to where he can put the ball on the floor and create his own shot, whether that be from 3 or in the mid-range game. I would also think that he's a better finisher than Klay Thompson is, and he brings that same defensive presence that Klay Thompson does.
That's really.
To me, Con Kneppel, and again, nobody likes him because of his name, because he's corny, because he looks goofy. But again, as a Duke guy who would prefer not to take him, if that was the selection, it's probably the safest pick if Fears isn't on the board, right? If you're in between Fears and Maluak now at 8, what do you go with? The high upside big who could turn out to be, Mark Williams or Clint Capella, who are not that great big men in this league right now, whether that be due to injury or just due to style of play? Or do you take a guy who is a safe, solidified third option on a contending team in 4 years down the line? I think Kneppel, to me, is the guy who can be in that conversation as one of the best third options in basketball, 5-6 years down the line. So it really just depends on how they're looking to construct a roster. Next year's draft class is very wing heavy, right? So, I prefer to go the point guard or the big man with our first pick. If it is Kneppel, though, I kind of understand why. It's not something that we all want to hear, but he is a very good player, and the playmaking aspect to his game is something I didn't even touch on. Very, very underrated. Like, he has a playmaking ability to his game where it wouldn't surprise me if he brought up the ball every now and then as a 6-7 point forward. So
where's Kneppel from? Like, where's he from? Where did he play high school ball?
I'd have to look that up. I would assume it's somewhere in Utah. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
But
is that where is he from? Utah? Is that where he's from?
No, I'm just messing around because he's probably the whitest dude alive. Con Kneppel High School. Let's see. He played at. Never mind. Yeah, he played in Wisconsin. That does not any better than Utah. But yeah. So he is from the mountains of Caucasus. He is a full-on white guy. But yeah, no, I mean, listen, he's, like I said, I think he's Klay Thompson 2.0, just a little bit more all around. And that's something that I definitely could get behind, 2 months after we draft him, and the anger settles in. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at his stats right now. He averaged 14.4 points per game, 4 rebounds, 2.7 assists. He averaged 48% from the field, 41% from 3, 91% from the free throw line. And he did that all on just 1.4 turnovers a game. And if you remember correctly, there was a 2-game stretch where Cooper Flagg was hurt, where he was out due to an ankle injury. And in those games, let's see, it was against Louisville and UNC, I believe. No, it was UNC and Georgia Tech. It may have been Louisville as well. So I'm just going to compare the 3 games. He had 18, 17, and 28 points. He shot 33, 60, and 0% from 3. He shot 50, 45, and a half, and 50% from the field. All 3 games, he played 38 minutes a night. He had 5, 4, and 8 rebounds, 8, 3, and 3 assists, 1, 5, and 2 turnovers. I mean, he is an efficient basketball player. Those are great numbers as a number one option. I mean, what is that? 18, 28, 17. That's what 22, 23 points per game within that stretch. That's impressive for a guy that a lot of people aren't high on. So again, to me, Knepel could be a safe pick at 8 if Fears is off the board already.
I want to address this. Trey Johnson was over. Is that what was that the total? Trey Johnson was over 14 in the Oklahoma game.
Jesus.
Whoever we draft probably is not going to be our number one this year. Next year, tank is really important. I want to address this. Is whoever is Milwaukee going to get the number one pick in next year's draft because they're going to be forced to trade Giannis to the Lakers?
If Atlanta's a play-in team and they get that Spurs Atlanta swap in 26, then certainly, yeah. AJ DeBanster, Darren Peterson, welcome to Milwaukee, buddy. We know it's rigged. It's not. You
it's
can't
not a
hide
secret
it
anymore.
There's no secret to it.
It's like the 2020 elections. It's in your face, rig. Like they're not even trying to hide it. Yeah.
Yeah, I put it on Twitter. I said Tatum tore his Achilles. Get ready for Boston to land a top 3 pick.
I truly believe that if Boston sells out this year and misses the playoffs, they're getting the number one pick.
If they are the
100% believe that.
East and they
DeBanson's from Boston too. He's going there. DeBanson's going to Boston.
Yeah, it's disgusting, but look at that. You already have 2 teams now that are potentially in the top 3 next year. That's Boston and Milwaukee. So, that it's rigged. There's nothing that we can do about it. But hopefully we get lucky at some point. I mean, again, even if you're drafting 6 through 8 next year, you have guys who are star
good players at 8.
Yeah.
Wherever they're drafting next year.
Yeah, you have Caleb Wilson. Jaden Quintons is a 7-foot center. He's just transferred from ASU to Kentucky this season. He's projected top 8. There's a ton of guys in next year's draft class at the wing position that can really help fill out the rest of the roster and have that star level capability. So, and again, even if you don't land that star through the draftees this year and next, you at least build the foundation of 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th options on your team to build that depth. And now you have the package to go out and get your number one. It's not out of the ordinary. It happens. But again, if you're drafting 3 to 5 guys this year and 2 guys next year, one of those guys should be a star. There's no excuse. But I don't care if you're drafted at 1 or if you're drafted at 30. There needs to be a hidden gem found at some point in that draft. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. I'm expecting at least one homegrown star out of this draft class and next, hopefully. But we'll see. Top 3 is a goal next year.
I want to get back. I've argued against drafting the Longhorn and for drafting the Oklahoma soon. And you're saying that you don't think Fears goes beyond 7, which means we need to trade up. The team would have to trade. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in some order. We know who those 5 players are. Right, it's really just 3 and 4 we're going to debate, and we can talk about that in a little bit. But 5 we both think is Trey. 6 would be Washington. Would Washington be open to trading 6? And what would a trade up to from 8 to 6 look like?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to pull up my article and share screen it, this is what I kind of touched on in my last article was Washington being a team that could look to trade back. They have a ton of youth. And if they were to select all of their picks this upcoming season in the draft, they would have up to 9 rookie contracts, which becomes a financial issue for them long term. You got too many guys and too many consecutive seasons that are due rookie extensions. It kind of hurts the value of selecting these guys. So I heard a rumor that Washington could just completely trade out of the 6th overall pick if it was for valuable future draft capital and a high caliber role player. That's what I had heard. And it wouldn't surprise me because Washington's a horrible organization. But, is the likeliness of this happening, possible? Probably more so not than is. But if there's a world where you can move Cam Johnson and, 2, 3 future first round picks to move up to 6 while keeping 8, why not? Now you're looking at Fears in one of either Carter Bryant, Kamal Maluak, Derek Queen, Con Knepel. Like you could have a lot of different scenarios if you're able to, keep 8 while moving up to 6. From everything that I've heard, Washington's really high on Maluak and Queen. I think that's also what kind of puts you in the position to potentially move up. If the Nets are moving up to 6, they're going for Fears, and that's the only player. New Orleans, if they miss out on Fears, they're going one of Queen or Maluak or Knepel. Like they're a team that's also high on Knepel. So it's like say Fears goes 6 and or say Fears goes 5, Queen goes 6, and Con Kneppel goes 7. You're left with Carter Bryant or Kaman Maluak, which are two very raw prospects with low floors, very high ceilings. So it's like, trading up at this point is kind of a necessity if you want to land a guy that you're really in love with. So, yeah, I mean, this is the article that I had just wrote up. I want to say this was last week. I kind of took a couple of days off because, some events that were going on. I got the girlfriend's graduation, brother's birthdays. It's been a busy week, but yeah, I think that since we're on the topic of trade partners, San Antonio, Philly, Charlotte, that's 2, 3, and 4. Washington at 6. Bleacher Report had just put up one where the Nets move up to 11 while keeping 8. I think it was Cam Johnson. I would have thrown in a later first-round pick, like 26 or 27. So it would have been Cam Johnson in 26 for 11 and Robert Williams. I don't know why they would do that, but it was a projected trade from Bleacher Report.
I want to get to the Nuggets trade.
Yes.
And the Trailblazer trade.
Yeah.
Because the Nugget trade is interesting to me.
Yeah. I'm gonna look at their draft capital moving forward. Let's see.
We also read the article, the Substack article. The link, I'll put the link in the chat again. It's a really good article. I think there's a lot of good information
that I did. I think the proposed trade that I did was Cam Johnson and either 2 or 3 future first-round picks for Corey Kispert and the 6 overall pick. So, I mean, you could debate it all you want, but if that rumor is true that they're looking to move out of 6 and add a role player with future draft capital, it makes a ton of sense for the Nets to be the team to move up. You've got one of the best role players on the market. I mean, they could even be a team that looks at Claxton. Maybe they want to pair up the dual threat big man duo of Sarr, who's better offensively, and Claxton, who's better defensively, and make that work. So Cam Johnson and Claxton are interchangeable in a Wizards trade to me. Really wouldn't matter which one goes.
What years? Because you don't want to trade. We only have one 2026 pick. We're not trading that to move from 8 to 6.
Table. Yeah, 2026 to me is off the table. For me, what I'm looking at is a pick in 2027. We have the top 8 protected 76ers pick. We have our swap pick with the Rockets, which they have the more favorable of. And then we have the Knicks unprotected. And then I'm also looking at 2029. So to me, it would be one pick in 27 and 29. If it's both Knicks, keeping 8, I'm doing it. Again, I think that's great value, especially if you're getting one of, I mean, at 6, if you're moving up, you're getting Fears. There's nobody else to me that you're trading up for if it's not Fears. So to me, you're getting Fears at 6, and then you're getting one of Maluak, Queen, Kneppel, or Carter Bryant at 8. And I think that's great value. If you can pull off, a combination of those two guys with your 2 top 10 picks, and if you can keep 19, then that's huge. Like you're now in a position to where you could be looking at Jeremiah Fears at 6, Con Kneppel at 8, and Thomas Sorber at 19. That's a grand slam. Like there's no better. That is a walk-off home run in Game 7 of the World Series. You're not beating that. That is by far the best consolation prize you can get for not drafting in the top 3 this year. And if you walk away with Fears, Kneppel, and Sorber, that's an exciting high upside, 3 high caliber players that you could be looking at for the next, 4 to 10 years.
It's impossible to figure out what there's such a bad organization. It's just impossible to figure out what Washington is thinking. So to me, I would never make this trade, but I'm not Washington, like the Wizards are the Wizards for a reason.
I mean, you suck when you get denied of a relocation. You know that? They were trying to relocate to Virginia.
And they got
2 years ago, they were trying to, because they were saying something about how the taxes are too much in Washington for the profits that they're making, and they were trying to move out to. So
they're trying to play in Virginia like the Redskins, the Commanders do, right? Was that what they were trying to do?
The Redskins play where? They're in Washington.
They play that stadium is in Fairfax, Virginia. It's right over the.
Is it really
outside of the city? Yeah, it's like the Jets playing in Jersey, right? Like it's like literally just outside.
Hold on, I did not know that. Let me see.
FedEx Field. It's in Fairfax, Virginia.
No, I'm seeing Washington Commanders play their home games at Northwest Stadium in Landover, Maryland.
Landover, Maryland. That's okay. It's Maryland. Maryland. That's right. It's Maryland.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not Washington. Yeah,
it's not in DC. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the Virginia Bullets is a pretty damn cool name. If you were to relocate, I could get behind that.
The Bullets is such a better name than the Wizards.
It is.
Like the Wizards
It
sounds
is because
kind of
there's nothing wizardry about them. They suck. If you call them the Washington Peasants, that would make sense. But no, the Wizards don't.
It's just kind of a gay name, like the Wizards. Like it's just like the Wizards.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, if you were to do Cam Johnson to the Nuggets plus the 27th overall pick for Michael Porter Jr. and a 2030 pick swap, like, I'm not against it. It's interesting, but yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
Oh, they changed the Wizards because of the violence. I guess the gun violence. Is that really the reason? I mean, it makes sense. I didn't know that.
That's hilarious if it is. That's fucking funny. Let's see. I'm trying to look at where the Nets have swaps. 2030, we have our own pick only. Okay, so a 2030 swap with the Nuggets would make sense. So let's see. Come on, Fanspell load. Does this even work is the question.
On Gil's Arena, they were talking about the Wizards, right? And what's his name? Nick Young was bragging that he had a higher rating in 2K than Gilbert Arenas did. And Gilbert Arenas, that's not true. My rating on the all-time Wizards team was like an 87 or something like that, right? It was higher than Nick Young's. And he's like, you're the all-time Wizards team? And Gilbert's like, you're damn right I am. He's like, you better be. It's only you and Alvin Hayes.
Jesus. Yeah, I don't even think they could do a Michael Porter Jr. trade on draft night because the caps don't match up to what we would need to
I want to get into that's what I
mean, realistically, if you just get a 2030 first round pick swap for the 27th pick, do it. There's no reason not to. You know, the Jokic is not going to be a Nugget in 2030. So they'll be poverty by then. I would do that trade immediately.
I want the Michael Porter Jr. trade. The Nuggets trade. The Nuggets want to trade into the first round. I'm not sure why Denver wants to trade into the first round.
They suck.
Are we looking at depth? Are we looking at? So the guy they want to. So if they draft at 19, they're going to want to take an upperclassman. So
potentially, I mean, it just depends on the ones that are available, right? Like, I don't think Nick Clifford is a guy that the Nets are looking at. The only upperclassman.
I'm saying Denver would want to draft Denver, because they want to play the guy right away in a year. They're going to try to compete for the title, I would imagine, right? They're not going to.
You'd have to think this is Jokic's last season there. I think he's is he not a free agent? Does he have a player option in 2027 or is it 2028 that he's a free agent? Trying to load into it.
Do you really think it's just? I just always picture him there, right? Like, I mean, I know that's going to come to an end.
He's got 3 years left on his deal. Is it a player option? It is a player option, so he could be a free agent.
It's a player option in 27, 28. So 26, 27 is his last year there. Yeah.
You know, like, to me, I don't see him there in his entire career. I just don't, especially with how much they have screwed themselves financially and draft capital wise. They are the next Milwaukee Bucks. They don't have the assets to improve the roster, and they don't have the cap space to bring in new guys. You know, so to me, Jokic is a guy who's off the table for them within the next 2 years. I said this 2 years ago with Giannis. So, you know, people could say it's crazy now, but the Lakers have a real shot at Jokic in 2 years. You know, if they can re-sign Luka once they free up the money from LeBron's retirement, they have a genuine chance at Jokic.
I'm not asking who's better. I'm asking who would you rather have into their 30s, Freak or Joker? Because I'd rather have Freak because Joker's fat and he's not going to have
I would
a long
rather
career.
Jokic. I would rather Jokic. I see, because here's how I compare it, right? Do you want the athletic freak that can't space the floor in Giannis who gets hurt every now and then, or do you want the fat guy who has been healthy throughout his entire career, doesn't need athleticism to stay healthy, and still gives you 30, 10, and 10?
One guy, look,
I'm probably taking Jokic.
Jokic, to me, is a better player. He's a more valuable player.
1,000.
Once they get into their 30s, the guy that treats his body like a machine and the guy that treats his body like an amusement park, I'm going to take the guy that treats his body like a machine. He's going to play later. He's going to have like LeBron James. I'm not saying he's going to play till he's 41, like 40, whatever. He's going to play. He's going to be well into his 30s, still playing at a high level. where Joker's going to be fat and slow. Well, he's already fat.
I mean, he is already fat and slow. And he's, three-time MVP, champion, Finals MVP. Like he's got it.
If you're asking me to give a guy $60 million plus a year, well into his 30s, I'm giving it to the guy that treats his body like a temple, not a guy that treats his body like an amusement park. That's just me.
Yeah, no, you know what? I'm maybe that's where I'm a little bit throwback. Give me the guy that looks like he would be addicted to alcohol. He's 30 now. Giannis turns 30 in a couple of months. Give me Jokic, man. I don't know. To me, you can't get any worse than where you're at already in terms of body and conditioning that Jokic is. And this is a guy who already plays 40 plus minutes a night, and gives you a triple double. Like, I don't know. I feel like you just can't beat that. And his impact on winning is much more valuable than Giannis's is. Like Jokic.
No, he's a better player for sure. But I'm saying, like, if I'm going to give the guy that much money into their 30s, I want the guy with the LeBron James, the Russell Westbrook body and training regimen than the guy that drinks beer and
races horses in Serbia. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. To me, I'm sticking with the alcoholic dad bod. Like it's just, I don't know. To me, if your game is not built around athleticism, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have a very long, sustainable career because you're not going to really deal with injuries, right? Giannis at the age of 35, his athleticism is going to slow down. His impact is going to get even worse, right? At least you have to think, unless if he miraculously comes out next season shooting 35% from 3 and 75, 80% from the free throw line, which he has not shown any improvements on. So, yeah, I mean, the only thing that Giannis has added over the past 10 years of his career is a solid mid-range. Yeah, and it's one of the ugliest fucking things I've ever seen in my life. Like it
goes in enough that you gotta respect it. It's
Russell Westbrook level mid-range where it's just like he just goes up and it looks so stiff. I can't. No. To me, give me the fat alcoholic who can walk up the floor and still give you 30, 10 and 10. I'll take that all day. I'll give that guy 80 million. I trust him more with 80 million than I do Giannis.
Did you hear the Mike Miller interview where he talks about the first time he met Joker when he played on Denver his last year in the league?
No. Oh, saying that this is the guy. Like he was.
Yeah, I don't know who this fat ugly guy is, but he's the best player on the team. It's not even close.
Dude, it's like Ben Roethlisberger level of like memeing, where it's like Ben had openly admitted to being addicted to alcohol and porn. That to me is Jokic. He's addicted to alcohol and horses. Like it's the same guy, same build, same level of impact on winning. Yet you don't know how he does it. Like he genuinely looks like if Adam Sandler was to roll out into an NFL game, and he was just like, "All right, let's see what happens." Like that to me is Jokic and Ben Roethlisberger. It's so fun.
The alcohol thing is like, that's humanizing. I'm addicted to porn.
Yeah, that's a crazy shout.
Or stop jerking off. Like, just stop. Just go.
You don't gotta spank him every day. Yeah, it's an occasional base. You don't have to. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I remember watching that podcast episode of his. I forgot what they were even talking about, but I think it was like about like his career and the sustainability and things that he's had to overcome. And one of them, he was like, "Yeah, I was addicted to alcohol and porn," and I'm like. Rock on, dude. I mean, shit, you won me 2 Super Bowls, so who gives a shit?
Yeah, it didn't affect his play on the field.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we were losing at halftime in that Cardinals-Steelers Super Bowl. Listen, if you had to go spank one out at halftime to win that game and throw that ball to Santonio Holmes, by all means, man, kudos to you.
He said, stop jerking off all the time, right?
Yeah, just stop spanking him around. You don't gotta hold the sausage hostage every day, Let him breathe. Give him a day off.
I don't know where we go from there.
I don't know either. That's like a perfect conclusion, but we have so much more to go into. Yeah, no, I mean the next one that we're kind of right. We've talked fears. We've talked Washington trade. We've talked about the Nuggets. We've talked about the Blazers a little bit. I think the real debate here now is, and this was reported yesterday, I believe, that the Nets are a team heavily being monitored with Dylan Harper. There are now talks beginning that the Nets are trying to figure out any way possible to land Dylan Harper, right? And I think that's very interesting because it's not coming from the Spurs side. This is 1000% coming from just media and the Nets side of things. And I didn't even realize this got 173,000 views on Twitter. Shit, maybe I should pay for premium. I could start getting paid for these things. But yeah, the quote was Nets potentially packaging picks to get Harper as their franchise point guard is something multiple organizations are keeping track of, right? So to me, this shows the willingness and the aggressiveness that the Nets are looking to go out and grab their guy. I've been saying it since last year. Dylan Harper, to me, was the guy that Brooklyn wanted throughout the entire process. 6'6" demigod point guard who can do it all. He can defend, he can play make, he can rebound, he can score from all three levels of the floor. You know, what is considered an overpay for a player like that? To me, you're looking at a very similar situation where it was like SGA from the Clippers to the Thunder, right? They gave up the world to go out and get Paul George, right? And the Thunder capitalized on it and felt that SGA was their guy. They turned him into an MVP. If you think a guy is that guy, he is the franchise player, he is the potential MVP, he is a 10-time All-Star, this is a guy you see on your organization for 15 years, is there really such thing as an overpay at that point, right? I'm open to giving up 4 future firsts and 8 for Dylan Harper at 2. That's something I would 1,000% look into. It depends on the picks, but I would do it. If you can get Dylan Harper at 2 and keep your 2026 first, I am going all in on Dylan Harper.
So walk me through a trade again.
Yeah, do you want to
pull
pull
up the 2, but like make it realistic. Don't make it like you know.
Do you want to pull up the trade machine?
Yeah. Give me one second. I got Fanspo open. Walk me through this.
Gotcha. Go to Fanspo.
Remember, I'm slightly mentally. Oh, I'm slightly mentally. Sorry, that's not the right one.
Oh God, was it porn link?
Walk me. No.
Was it a Ben Roethlisberger link?
No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah, that's a great question, Lou. What the fuck did happen to the Scout episodes? Why are they not posting these anymore? There were supposed to be 9 episodes on a weekly basis up until draft night. We are a week and a half since the last one, and there has not been a single sign of another.
Were you talking about the Nets show?
Yeah.
What happened? Yeah, I was. Yeah, I don't.
I think the last time they posted it was like 12, 13 days ago, and it was supposed to be 1 a week.
I think 7 people watched it, and me, Dylan, and Lou were one of them. I don't.
Let's see. Hold on. I'm trying to. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. This shit dropped.
Nobody cares about our friends. Yeah, I was gonna watch it with the wife. Like we were gonna watch them. Like we were gonna binge watch them. Like back to back to back. 6th.
It's been 3 weeks. I have no clue. They definitely gave up on it.
Was this before or after the lottery that they did this?
It was. I think it was
before the lottery, right?
Yeah, I think it was a couple days before. It was May 6th. Lottery was
and
May
then once
12th.
we got 8, it just lost all momentum and nobody cared anymore.
Yep. Yeah, because probably all the footage was going to Rutgers games, being like, "Oh, look, we can win 30 games and still get into the top 2." No, dumbass. It doesn't matter what you do. The lottery's fucking rigged. So, all right. So click on tools. Go to trade machine.
Tools, trade machine.
Okay, and then just do for team 1, do the Nets. Team 2, do the Spurs. Let's see. What can I cook up today?
Wait, hang on. Okay.
If you scroll down just a little bit underneath where that highlighted blue is, add team. You're going to click on the Nets, and then you're going to click on the Spurs for team 2 on the right side.
And Spurs?
Yeah. By the way, I absolutely love Spurs fans saying the Nets have nothing that we want. You guys were the 13th seed in the West. We were 12th. I'm just going to put it out there. You had a better record. But don't say that we don't have anything you want. Get the fuck out of here. You guys
look at their roster. I mean, like, I technically you're right. We were a better seed in our division, in our conference.
Oh, they would 100% have a better roster. But guess what? Stay healthy.
Look at their roster. Would you trade your roster for theirs?
1,000%. And their draft does their draft capital come included because they have those Atlanta picks? Yeah, I would do it. I think they also have a Minnesota Dallas swap in 2030, which is going to be another lottery pick.
How many guys on this roster would be the best player on our team? Fox, Vassell.
Let's see. Fox.
Would Keldon Johnson be the best player on our team?
No.
Okay.
Let's not hate on Cam Thomas that much. I think Cam Thomas is a better player than Devin Vassell. Devin Vassell had a really good year like 2 years ago, and since then he's been pretty mediocre. I would take Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, Wemby.
Is that
over
it?
any
It's
player
just
on my
those three guys would be the best player on our team.
team.
All
I
right.
would take Jeremy Sochan over Cam Johnson. Who else is there?
I think there are 4 or 5 guys on this team that would be the best player.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely have the debate of Vassell and Thomas, but I mean, $27 million guy who averages like 15 compared to $4 million guy who averages 24.
The value,
yeah.
The value on Cam Thomas with his contract is going to be good. But
all right, so yeah, let's get into it. Now the question is, do they specifically look for picks to go in on a Giannis deal, or do they look to add a role player while like the question is, are they open to moving Harrison Barnes and Keldon Johnson? Because if they're open to moving both of them, then you could package Vassell and one of those guys plus Jeremy Sochan and picks for Giannis, which could still also land you Cam Johnson. So that's where like the debate is for me. Do they want Cam Johnson to pair alongside Giannis, Fox, Castle, and Wemby, or do they just want Giannis and a ton of future draft capital to fill out the rest of the roster? To me, I think they want Cam Johnson. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. So,
for this exercise, we're going to assume they want Cam Johnson.
For this hypothetical that has no chance of happening, because if I say it does, it won't happen. Go Cam Johnson to the Spurs. We're going to give them pick 8. Unfortunate, but you have to, especially if you're landing a guy like Harper. I don't think you bitch and complain at that.
All right, how do I do that? How do I get
click on picks right on the bottom of Cam Johnson's head? You see where it says roster picks, trade exceptions, and CH?
No, because I'm mentally retarded. Where do you, Cam Johnson's head? Oh, this right here? This head?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
and
picks?
Then scroll down. Yes, you see where it says picks. Go on the net side of it and click on picks.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes. Maneuvering the sticks. Yes, give up pick 8. I'm going to say keep 19 because fuck them. There's no reason for them to take 2 insanely high valuable picks when you're getting potentially Cam Johnson and Giannis. You just don't need it.
You want to give them one of these 20? You want to give them 26,
yes,
27?
We're going to give them. No, I actually don't think they need another pick in this year's draft.
So
yeah,
8,
14,
Cam
and 38.
Johnson, and then something in the future.
Yeah, so we're going to give them the 2027 Knicks and 76ers picks. No protections, straight up.
Okay.
Got to give them up. Yeah, click trade to Spurs.
I got it. I'm getting it. And also the Sixers.
It's a slow process.
The
2027 Sixers pick. And then we're going to have to give up the 2029 Knicks pick.
This has got to be enough now. I'm giving you 3 first rounders and Cam Johnson to move up 6 spots. This has got to be enough.
That's what you think. Remember, they're going to gut you for what you want. If you really want something, you give it up.
All right, I want to have a conversation after. All right, hang on. All right,
yeah, so we can have a conversation.
Knicks pick, you said?
Yep, give it the 2029 Knicks pick.
I'm out on this trade.
Okay, now go to the roster on the Spurs side, and then give up Keldon Johnson.
I'm out on the trade. That's too much.
Salaries match.
Yeah, trade to Nets.
All right, and then go to the top. Click on. Yeah, go to the top right and click. And give number 2 to the Nets. Yeah. Okay, and then click. Scroll up, and there should be try trade in orange. Yep, you were right there. Yep. All right, so the contract match. Yep, I'm doing it.
I'm out. Once I gave you the Knicks pick, the Knicks pick in 2029 is going to be a lottery pick.
Remember, you have the 2028 Knicks swap in 2028, and you also have the 2030 Knicks pick, or 2031. It's one or the other. You have 2 more remaining Knicks picks. You still have your own picks, and you still have a couple of least favorable swaps. I'm doing it. This is my guy. If you think that this is your guy at 2, and he is your superstar of the future, this package should not scare you. I think Dylan Harper's the real deal.
As I do want to bring the homie here. I can't make it. I can't.
You have that picture ready to go always.
It's just on my desktop. It's just on. I can't make this trade. It's too much. That's too many picks. That's too many. That's like you could
think about it in NFL terms for a second, right?
Let me. Okay, go ahead. Let me push back.
Okay. We just talked about this before, right? In NFL terminology, if you're the 3rd overall pick and you want to move up to the first overall pick to land that superstar quarterback that everybody's projecting at 1, you have to give up the 3rd overall pick, your 2nd round pick that year, and 2 future 1st round picks to move up 2 spots. Very, very similar aspect. You're giving up 8 to move up 6 spots to 2. That cancels out. Realistically, you're giving up 3 first round picks, right? You're giving up a protected pick in 2027 via Philly that may or may not be going back to Philly. You're giving up a very not so valuable pick in 2027 from the Knicks. They're still going to be contending by then. The only valuable pick that you're giving up is 2029 from the Knicks. By then, the Nets have no excuse not to be contending, right? So that pick shouldn't really worry you.
Well, they do have an excuse. Sean Marks is their GM, but I digress. Go ahead.
Yes, that is true, and it still stands to be corrected every day.
He will still be there in 2029. He's going to get a gold watch from this organization.
Yeah, I never thought a GM could be as valued as a fucking. The guy's going to be on a Patrick Mahomes level tear in terms of longevity on one team. But yeah, to me, you're getting Dylan Harper and you're keeping your 2026 pick. That to me is all you can do. Right? Nick Claxton, you can get a return on investment, get some picks back for. Maybe, you move on from pick 26 or 27 in this draft as well to get future draft capital back. There's a world to me. This makes sense. I think it makes sense for all sides because now what you can do is scroll down just a little bit to adjust trade. Keep her going. Yep, there we go. And I want you to add a 3rd team. And we're gonna do the Bucks. You're on mute, by the way.
Again, slightly retarded, man. How do I add a 3rd team to this trade?
Right on the top where it says add team 3. Right above try trade. Scroll up just a little bit.
Yeah.
There it is. Yep. All right. So add the Bucks. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna yes. And what we're gonna do is now the picks that we gave up to Milwaukee, or I'm sorry, to San Antonio, I want you to undo all of those picks, except for number 8.
Wait, hang on. Hang on.
So undo the 2 in the middle and then the bottom one.
Gotcha. 27 and 29 picks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Send those to Milwaukee because what we're going to do is we're going to make it look like the Spurs trading with Milwaukee. You're going to keep the Nets in there, but I'm going to show you how this works for all sides. So go back down to the bottom left. I know this is where it gets really fucking hard when there's 3. Give up. Nope. Don't even worry about 8 because 8's still going to San Antonio. Scroll down to 2027.
2027.
Give the Knicks and the Sixers picks to
Milwaukee.
Yep. And then you're going to do the same with the 2029 Knicks pick to Milwaukee.
Knicks pick?
Yep. And then
go to Milwaukee.
Go to Milwaukee. And then go to the Spurs and give it the 2026 swap with Atlanta. That's going to go to Milwaukee.
Okay.
And you're also going to give up another pick to Milwaukee. So they have 2 2027s. I don't see them needing another. Give them that 2030 swap with Minnesota and Dallas.
This right here?
Yep. Now figure
Milwaukee.
Yep. So figure the Spurs just got 3 first-round picks to move in a Giannis deal where they still get to keep a ton of their draft capital. What does that say? 22 or 24 picks right there that San Antonio still has?
22.
Okay. So, I think okay, no, that's outward. All right. So go Giannis to Spurs. Click on him to the Spurs. You can just click on his name and it should work as well. But go to the Spurs and then go to roster for the Spurs right there where it says picks underline. Go to the left and click roster.
Wait, okay.
Okay. And then scroll down.
Yeah.
You're going to give up Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes.
Straight to Bucks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jeremy Sochan.
That's a good contract to trade away.
Yep. And then click try trade.
All right. Where the hell is try trade? It's up here. Success.
Okay. So I'm going to break this down. The Giannis deal would be the offseason move for them. They would draft and they would move on in the offseason. So you would have pick 8, 14, and 30 something, 38, I believe. You could trade the 14th overall pick in that package as well to the Bucks. So figure they're maybe getting a guy like Jace Richardson, Colin Murray Boyles, Kasper Siakachonis. So whoever it may be at 14, the Spurs would include in that Bucks deal, right? So you're pretty much trading Keldon Johnson in the 2nd overall pick for Giannis, Cam Johnson, and the 8th overall pick. If you don't think the Spurs like that, that's absurd. All they're doing is giving up 3 picks from the Nets that they got and only 2 of their own stocks, draft picks within their own draft capital for Giannis. Right?
This is a good haul. Like, honestly, like, this is
That
a good
is-
haul for Milwaukee. Yeah.
Yeah. Right? They don't get picks this year, but you now are in a position where you get Atlanta's picks. Maybe you look to try and maneuver a way to package some of those picks that you just got in the Giannis deal to the Pelicans for your own 2026 pick back. You know, like those are the scenarios that you could be looking at. But realistically, the Nets are trading 3 first-round picks plus 8 plus Cam Johnson for 2. You get Dylan Harper. You have your 2026 pick. That's the Nets side of it. The Spurs are trading Keldon Johnson and the haul to Milwaukee plus the 3 picks that they got in the Nets deal to Milwaukee for Giannis. Now you have Giannis, Cam Johnson, and likely Con Kneppel, right? And then, of course, the Bucks get a shit ton of draft capital and 2 young players, 1 expiring contract.
This is all right. So let me just look at this for me. The Nets get Keldon Johnson and Dylan Harper. They give up
Johnson and Dylan Harper, yes, and they would still have the 19th overall pick. So you're now looking at guys like Thomas Sorber, Will Riley. There's a couple of guys that you can get in that range, and not to mention you still have 26 and 27.
I still don't know if I like this. I guess I'm making it right. Okay, so yeah. Keldon Johnson and Cam Johnson. I'd rather have Keldon Johnson, but let's say that's a fair swap. Let's say that's a fair trade. Okay. 2025. So now I'm getting Dylan Harper and I'm trading Con Kneppel or possibly Fears. I'm being honest. The better part of my brain tells me not to make this trade. Not if I can.
Let's say in this scenario, at 8, it's Con Kneppel, right? Especially if the Spurs are making the deal, because the Spurs love Con Kneppel. I make it. If
it's Fears, I don't make it. If Fears, but I can't know that, right?
Yeah. Let's just say, as of right now, from my knowledge, there is a 75% chance or more that Fears is not available at 8. That's just, he's risen too high. A team like Utah or New Orleans will take him. If he gets past Utah, that's when you look at the trade up to 6. If you can't do that, now you're screwed, right? So what do you want to do? Do you want to put yourself in a position where you get screwed out of both Harper and Fears, or do you want to go and land your guy, right? And to me, in this scenario, you're getting Dylan Harper, you're keeping your 2026 pick. You add Keldon Johnson, who's on a $3 million cheaper deal than Cam Johnson is, so you're saving the cap space in that spot. So you're walking into next season with Dylan Harper, Cam Thomas, Keldon Johnson, Noah Clowney, Nick Claxton potentially, unless if he's traded, and a couple more draft picks, right? So the Nets could be moving up. They can move up 19 and 27 to move up with another team. Maybe they trade Nick Claxton on draft night, which I think is very hard to do. But there's a world. If there's a will, there's a way. There's a ton of different scenarios where you can do this. But the 3 picks that the Nets are sending out, you have to think you're getting a pick or 2 back for Claxton if they decide to trade him, and you're also getting a first-round pick swap from the Nuggets just by trading pick 27. So those 3 future firsts that you just gave up, you're getting right back. You know what I mean? And that's why I see it being valuable. Yeah, I sold you on it. I know. I'm a salesman, man. I got you.
I'm still processing this, right? So Keldon Johnson. Mm-hmm. All right. That's what we're getting, Keldon Johnson and Dylan Harper. We're giving up Kneppel, Cam Johnson.
Yeah, giving up Cam Johnson and 3 firsts. And then you're moving Nick Claxton in the offseason probably to the Lakers for a protected pick and a swap. So you're getting 2 firsts from that. Right, and then you're moving the 27th overall pick to the Nuggets for a future first-round pick swap. You pretty much just restocked your draft.
It's this 2029 Knicks pick. I don't want to part ways with. I don't want to part ways with that pick.
We have the 2028 swap, and we have that 2031 pick. To me, I'm not worried about that. Right, you mortgaged all of your future to get your picks back. You fucked up the Phoenix picks, and you got nothing out of it. Right, go get something for it.
Dylan Harper's going to be 25 and 8. He's going to be an impact player.
Yep.
I guess you make the trade then, right?
I see him as a guy that's going to be giving you 26. Like in his prime, I see him giving you 26 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, high caliber defense, all-star, superstar. That's what I say.
I guess you got to make the trade, right? Because you need a player like that to compete, right? You need an impact player like that, a top 10 player in the league.
Lou's saying add the Lakers as the 4th team. Hey, you want to? I'll show you a full offseason breakdown of everything.
I mean, let's keep it in a realm of reality. I think you can argue and make a good argument that this works for every team involved. This is quite a haul. Like if you look at what they're getting, Vassell, Barnes, okay, that's a contract. Sochan, that's a really good role player. So you're getting a really good young player, a good role player, and then 5 picks, and then a big contract coming off the books.
Yeah. You're getting a valuable 2026 swap from the Hawks, which could be another lottery pick. You're getting that 76ers top 8 protected. Hey, if they're contending, you're getting another first. You get that Knicks first. And then, of course, you get the valuable picks in 29 and 30. I mean, realistically, if I'm the Bucks, I'm looking to trade 3 of those to get my pick back in 2026, right? So I'm looking at trading the 2 2027s and the 2029 to get my pick back in 2026. Because if you could start your rebuild with the Hawks swap and your own pick back, you know, you're looking at 2 lottery picks next year to reset your rebuild around Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sochan, which isn't really a bad option for them, especially with the lack of draft capital that they have to begin with. You know, do they take that risk like the Nets did and go get your pick back? You know, I could very, very, very well see them doing that. And then you also have to remember when Damian Lillard gets healthy, you are able to trade him. You know, you can move off of guys like Kyle Kuzma for additional 2nd-round draft capital, whatever the case may be. I mean, realistically, the Spurs could offer up 3 or 4 2nd-round picks in the deal that we just did. Like they have the draft capital to do it. You know, like I could see some seconds being attached to that package as well, especially if you're not getting Stephon Castle or the 2nd overall pick. Yeah, you probably want to add as much draft capital as possible. So I could see the Spurs adding at least 3 or 4 2nd-round picks to that deal as well.
We all agree that San Antonio, is the ultimate winner of this trade, right?
Yeah, you're buying a championship.
Yeah.
Right? You're walking into next season with De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Cam Johnson, Giannis, and Wemby. That's starting 5.
And role players like Cam Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah. You would have guys off the bench that consist of Chris Paul, Malachi Bram, maybe Charles Bassey if they bring him back. Like there's a ton of guys that you could be walking into next season for depth purposes. But that's starting 5 in itself. It would be De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Cam Johnson, Giannis, and Wemby. That's fucking scary. That is immensely scary. You're putting De'Aaron Fox now as your 2nd option scorer and your 3rd most impactful player, while you're putting Wemby as your 3rd option scorer and your 2nd most impactful player alongside Giannis, who is your clear and obvious number 1 on both categories. That's a championship.
I make this if I'm San Antonio for sure. Yeah. I make it if I'm Milwaukee. You got Giannis. That time is over. Like you're on borrowed time with that.
You also have to remember this is a good haul. Kneppel out of that most likely. Like that's insane. That is insane. Because
Milwaukee, I'm making this trade for sure.
Yeah, because what you could do too is realistically, Cam Johnson's on a 2-year deal, right? If you don't want to pay him that $30+ million that he's likely going to ask for, you got Con Kneppel as your replacement in 2 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? And you still have
100%.
a boatload of picks. Like there's no loss here for the Spurs. This is a 10-year plan for them. Right? Your first 5 years is De'Aaron Fox and Giannis. Those are your 2 big name guys alongside Wemby. And once they're either retired or you need to trade them because of financial issues or they leave in free agency, you now have Wemby and Stephon Castle with Con Kneppel to build around. That works. That works 9 times out of 10. You know, I think that this is great value for every team. You know, the Nets give up a lot, but you're also going to get a lot back in return for guys like Claxton. You know, for one of those later 1st-round picks, you could still get a pick back. Like realistically, you can replenish those 3 1st-round picks with ease. And what's more valuable to you? A 2029 Knicks pick who may or may not still be trying to contend at the time, or a 2030, 2031 swap from the Nuggets who likely won't have Jokic by then. Right? That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, the NBA changes so much year to year. I can't really project out 2030, 2031.
I mean, I think we can all project if Jokic leaves the Nuggets, they're going to suck for a decade. They're not getting anybody else.
they got their championship, so all's well that
Yeah,
ends well. I
and
mean,
it's not
it's
like the
very
Lakers.
possible.
It's not like
Yeah,
let's just say the Lakers is the only team that he would go and play for, right? It's not like they have the draft capital to trade for him, and it's not like they have the players to trade for him outside of Luka. So what does that mean? The only way that you can get him is through free agency if he opts out of his deal. And that's kind of like the ultimate fuck you to the Nuggets, which I could very well see happening. He liked Mike Malone, and they told him to F off, right? So what makes Jokic not want to do the same thing to the Nuggets and leave them in poverty for a decade? We'll see, but that's realistically the only way that Jokic can get to the Lakers is via free agency.
we're still drafting 19. So okay, so walk me through
the net side of things.
I think I'm making this. I don't love this trade for us because I don't want to get rid of that Knicks pick.
It's a high risk, high reward trade, right? Because you also have to factor in what's the value for Claxton. I think it's at least 1 first-round pick, if not a first and a swap first. So to me, I think it's 2 firsts, right? I think that's very fair.
I just want the contracts off the books. Like, that's all I care about.
I know. So realistically, I'm saying 2 firsts for Claxton, right? You're already replenishing half the draft capital that you gave up. You're moving the 27th overall pick to the Nuggets for, a swap. And let's just say 2030 or 2031, doesn't matter. You've now replenished the 3 picks that you just gave up for Dylan Harper. So pretty much you just moved up 8 for 2. That's how that works. You gave up 8 in Keldon Johnson, or 8 in Cam Johnson for 2 in Keldon Johnson, right? So you now add Dylan Harper at 2. At 19, let's just say in this scenario, it's one of Will Riley or Thomas Sorber, right? We'll just say it's one of those 2. Then at 26, you're looking at guys like maybe Yaxel Lendeborg, Ado Thiaro. Maybe you're looking at a big man like Maxime Raynaud if you miss out on Thomas Sorber. Whatever the case may be, use 26 as an upperclassman pick. And at 36, you're now looking at guys like Drake Powell, Bogoljub, Markovic. There's guys in that 36 range, Noah Penda. That could be your draft class, right? So you're bringing in 3 or 4 rookies. You got Harper. You bring in Keldon Johnson. Say you move Claxton for 2 first. You're likely getting Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleber. So you're bringing those 2 in, 2 expiring contracts. And then, you're getting an additional first from Denver with that 27th overall pick. So
one other question for you, and this is a real question.
Yeah.
I like this trade, but what would stop the NBA from saying, no, Milwaukee's going to try 1 more year with Giannis, and then LeBron's going to retire, and we're going to force a Giannis to Lakers trade, and they'll have Giannis and Luka? I'm being serious.
There's no money to match a Lakers. They don't have the money or the draft capital.
They don't have, but
yeah,
they didn't have the money or the draft capital to get Luka either, and they still got Luka.
I mean, realistically, Anthony Davis for Luka, it's like trading a top 10 player for a top 5 player. Like,
yeah,
it's not the craziest fucking thing in the world. It's just, why would you do it? Well, because the Lakers are the Lakers. You want the Lakers to be successful. To me, the deal isn't as bad as some people think.
If you're the Mavs and you had this conversation with the NBA, miss out on the playoffs, Anthony Davis and Cooper Flag for Luka, are you in?
I'm in.
Yeah, I'm probably in.
I'm in. But you know what? Actually, I'm going to take a picture of this real quick because today's Sunday. Yeah, tomorrow's Monday. Tomorrow's Monday mock off season. So I'll have a new mock off season. It'll be centered around this. But yeah, so I mean, I'm doing this because now this puts you in a position where you would have a roster that consists of Dylan Harper, Cam Thomas, Keldon Johnson, Noah Clowney. Let's just say in this case, Thomas Sorber, Day'Ron Sharpe. For the 26th pick, let's just say Yaxel Lendeborg. 36th pick, I'm going to say Drake Powell. You have Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber from the Lakers trade. And then that gives you 5 spots. So you're thinking probably what? D'Lo. Do you have the money to bring in Kuminga at that point? I don't know. You should.
I would still think so, yeah.
Yeah, you should have the money to bring him in. So let's just say I wouldn't even say Kuminga in that case. I wouldn't even spend. So you have 4 roster spots open for the offseason, right? Oh, and Keon Johnson, so 12-man roster. So you have 3 roster spots for free agency.
Let's chill on Keon.
That should be a tanking team in 2026, right? Okay. And
Should
let's
be.
just say
It
next
should have
year.
been a taking team in 2025. Didn't really work
I know.
out, but yeah.
Hey, I mean, at this point though, if that was your 12-man roster, right? Does that give you the option to bring back Zaire Williams? I would hope so. So maybe that's a 13-man roster. Now you have 2 available roster spots. And then at that point, I'm just bottoming it out next year, seeing what happens. I think if you're the 3rd worst overall team, you're probably in the best position to stay in that top 3 range. It's usually how it works, right? Washington and Utah were the 2 worst. They bumped down 4 spots. Yeah. Charlotte was at 4. They stayed at 4. Yeah, I would try and be the 3rd through 5th worst team in basketball because that seems to be the picks that stay in that relative range, if not move up. So just stay the fuck away from 6. That's it. Stay away from 6. That shit sucks.
Yeah. I need to wrap this up in the next 5 minutes or so. But all right. So I want to do a mock draft. And I want to do a mock draft where we either do this trade or the Washington trade.
Okay.
Which one do you want? Do you want to trade for Fears at 6, or do you want to do this? I say let's do this.
Let's do this because we've done a lot of Fears, right? And I think it's very simplistic, the Washington deal to move up. Whether that be swapping 8 for 6 and pick 26 goes to them as well, or if it is that deal that I propose where it's like Cam Johnson and 2 or 3 future firsts for 6 and Corey Kispert. Like you get to keep 6 and 8. Like that scenario we kind of already know. Let's do this one because there's definitely some things that we could work on and see what we can build around to make it a full roster. Tomorrow I am busy. It is also Memorial Day, so why don't we look for Tuesday morning? Yeah, let's do Tuesday morning for that. I'll also have the mock-off season done by then as well.
I was going to say Tuesday works best because Monday I'm going to be out and about tomorrow too. It's Memorial Day. So you want to do Tuesday at 11:30, 10:30 my time?
Let's do it. Let's do same time Tuesday.
All right. This was good. I guess I'm making this trade. I don't love this trade.
Like you have to.
Yeah, and that's why I don't have a choice to say no. Like I have to get Dylan Harper in here. Yeah.
Like I said, the selling point for me is you land your guy, and the term "your guy" can't be like taken lightly. If you think a guy is the guy, 100%. You do whatever it takes to get him. In this case, you're landing your guy, and you have numerous routes to replenish those 3 future first-round picks that you gave up. To me,
right. If it's your guy, it's the equivalent of getting your quarterback in the NFL draft. You just gotta make the trade, and then whatever it is. You just better be right about your guy. You better be right. Yeah.
That's the thing that sucks what I'm saying, about the NBA is
real quick before we go.
Yeah.
I love Harper. I like Fears, but I love Harper. I would take Harper number 1, honestly, if it was me. Next 3 minutes. Compare and contrast Harper versus Fears. How much better is Harper than Fears? And how much of a drop-off would there be if we got Fears at 6 as opposed to Harper at 2? Just real quick.
I mean, you're getting a potential star versus a potential superstar. Superstars, there's only about 5 to 8 of those in the league, right? Stars, there's about 25 to 30. Right? A star could be a second option. A star could be a 2B. Like it could be like your 1, your 2, and your 2B. Like there's different levels to star, right? There's star, all-star, and superstar. To me, Fears is probably a solidified star, if not all-star. Harper, though, to me is a solidified all-star, if not superstar. So I think that is a very large drop-off in franchise player versus I still need to give up assets later on for a first option, right? If you land Harper and he turns into your first option, you can now go through free agency and find your second option in your depth, right? You don't have to trade for it necessarily. So I think Harper to me is the guy.
So it's like getting someone at a Brunson or an SGA level as opposed to someone at a De'Aaron Fox level.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a big difference. That's a big difference. Yeah.
It is a massive difference. And that's not a knock on guys like Fox. Like Fox is a great player.
Great player.
Ja Morant, Trae Young, De'Aaron Fox. These are all all-star point guards, right? Who are solidified top 10 in their position. But you're now looking at Brunson, Cade, Steph, SGA.
Yeah.
That's a massive difference.
Yeah. You gotta do what you gotta do to get that guy. I don't love the trade. We're giving up a lot.
Yeah.
But thank God for that Bridges trade. Thank you, Knicks, for that.
If we mess this up, they may turn me into back.
Bridges is god awful, isn't he? He's just god awful on both
He's
ends
just
of the
so
court.
mediocre. He's just so mediocre.
You can see defensive. This guy made an all defensive team. This is why I don't put much credence in I made all defensive team. He's horrible. He's got no defensive awareness at all. He can't guard quick guards, and he can't. He's got one block against Jason Tatum, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's a great." No, he's not.
Well, it's a block and a steal. It was back-to-back games, so I will give him credit for that. But outside of his defensive impact, the offensive impact
the 48 minutes that he's on the court. He's not good defensively at all.
I know. He looks like a stick out there half the time.
All right. And offensively, down the clutch, what's he doing? He's standing in the corner completely uninvolved. So you got a guy that gets beat up defensively and offensively stands in the corner. Cam Johnson could do a better job than that because Cam Johnson's going to knock down a higher percentage of open threes than Bridges is.
Yeah.
Cam Johnson would be more valuable to the Knicks than Bridges.
I actually kind of agree, especially with the issues that they're facing in the playoffs currently, has been their offense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could definitely see that being a possibility. But yeah, I mean, listen, I know you got to head out. I got to head out.
Yeah.
I'm making this trade. That's where I'm at on this. So we're exactly 1 month away from that. So we'll see what happens.
I'm making it. I'm not as. I got Dylan Harper, so I guess I got to do what I got to do. And that's
I got
the end
Dylan
of the
Harper,
discussion.
one of Will Riley and Thomas Sorber, and I'm bringing back the draft capital that I just traded.
The NBA just could have hooked us up with the number 2 pick, and we could have.
They could have, but Adam Silver's a fucking douche. I hope he
got that right.
You're an asshole. You're a horrible commissioner. You do not do your job properly. Get rid of the lottery. It's rigged. It's not fun.
Well, that's why they have it, is to rig it. Like, that's why they have it. Because there was no way Dallas could get Cooper Flagg, which means they weren't sending Luka to the Lakers, right? Like, that's all a part of it. Yep. All right, guys. I got to wrap this. I will be back tomorrow at 11:30 Eastern time.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, 11:30 Eastern time. From Texas, it's May 25th, 2025. From Texas to the world. Thank y'all, and God bless.
Later.